All right, Letty, are you ready? If you want to turn on your mic. All right, we're going to get started. We'll start as usual with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Apologize for starting a few minutes late. We just had a non-public this meeting. We will, as usual, by reviewing and signing payroll and accounts payable register for the period ending 3/1/25. We had payroll in the amount of $37,350.25. We had accounts payable in the amount of $44,246.95. We did have our regularly scheduled ACH payments to Swayze of $245,000 and the co-op of $709,932. All right. Andy just got up and wandered away. We have a roaming board member. Is he coming back? Okay. He needs to hydrate. Hydration is important. Okay. Next, I'll take a motion to review and approve the consent agenda, please.
I'm not seeing the minutes. Did I miss some?
Do you have the consent agenda folder with you? These are the regular minutes. The non-public minutes were in the folder. Is it one of the folders that you have right here? It's the, yeah, it was in the consent agenda folder.
This might need a minute.
We have, as normal in our consent agenda, we have public minutes from 2/25, non-public minutes from 2/25, which are sealed, building permits, and the rec manifest.
Can we go back to having those distributed when they're ready?
The minutes?
Yes.
Yes. I think
email?
Yes.
Or they could even just be in a folder somewhere that we can see.
I think the routine we used to do is when the minutes were ready, they could be sent, or they could be sent with the next agenda. So however you guys want to work it out, just so that the board can have an opportunity to review minutes electronically before the meeting.
Do not want those
Non-publics is
on the table.
generally we used to put those in the mail folder so that we could physically view them, but they wouldn't be in the consent agenda file because they're stored differently. But I think you guys can work out what works best for that workflow as you're getting settled. Hopefully you're getting settled now a little bit after a few weeks. Good. All right, Paul, I'll give you a second to finish looking that over. We got a little behind schedule because of having an interview in non-public right before this meeting. So some of the work we generally do right before the meeting got bumped a little bit. When you're ready, I will take a motion for the consent agenda.
Moved
Where's the non-public minutes?
in the folder.
Inside that folder right there.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. I'll give Paul a second to look at the non-public minutes. That's okay. You good? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm an aye. So we will pass the consent agenda. We will now open for public comment at 6:16. Please remember to come up to the microphone and state your name and your street, please. Anyone interested in public comment?
Liz Faria, South Road. Am I supposed to use this one?
Yes, please.
Okay. On page 37 of the annual report 2024, it said that we paid John Ventura $179,325.52. So I'm assuming that's for the 11 months plus 6 months. Is that correct?
That would be his total compensation for his employment, yes.
Total salary. That doesn't include anything else, right?
The number that you see there is the total amount of compensation he was given as an employee.
Okay. And we're
Yes.
still paying his medical and dental and stuff like that, right? For another, until May 30th?
As per the severance agreement that you've,
Okay. And I asked twice in December why the payroll was so high, and you said some other reason. So I'm just wondering, where did the severance payment come out of? Police department? So it did come out of payroll.
yes, it's a payroll expense.
So when I asked in December why one payroll was almost double normal's around 38 usually then, it's a little bit lower now, and one was like 65, and the next time it was 56 or something.
Liz, I
they
think
were
we've
both at the
already
Yeah,
addressed
but you
this,
told me
that
twice that it didn't come out of payroll.
there, I never said that. There were a couple of weeks that you asked why payroll is high, and they
Yeah.
had nothing to do with John Ventura. We had holiday payouts, we had earned time payouts, and we answered
Right,
you
right, that's what you told me
accurately.
twice, right?
The
So,
week that we did his severance, you did not ask.
oh, geez, okay. And then I have the 2023 annual report, and I can't remember what page this is on, but I believe, oh, I found it. His salary in 2023 was 109,931 plus 2 on private detail, so 110.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming, since I can't really figure it out from the 2024, that his salary in 24 minus the severance was about 120. Would that be a correct assumption?
Liz, we're really not going to get into all the details. The numbers are right there in front of you, what the gentleman was paid. It speaks for itself, and I'm
Okay.
going to let it stand there,
Okay, for those of the public, it's page 37, salaries.
right? It's listed right in print for everyone to
Yep.
view.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 6:19. We'll move on to our discussion action items. And the first is the revaluation contract. So I'll turn it over to Andrea.
Yep, Rob from KRT had sent the contract. He sends it up to DRA. They look at it, make any changes or recommendations. We just got that back last week, so this is ready to sign.
And remind us, this contract had been amended slightly because of the software transition.
Yes, yep.
What was the additional cost? I think it was like about
It was 10,000.
$8,000 or $10,000
$10,000
upcharge for that?
As much
Okay.
as we thought it was gonna be.
Okay.
So, there you go.
So this is, we've all already seen this. All the board members had a copy of this.
This is not. Oh, you're not
It's-
talking about.
It's, nope, that's a totally
thank
different
you.
contract
Yep.
that you have in front of you. So this has been
where
reviewed
does
by
that say?
DRA.
DRA.
Has it been, did we have anybody else review it?
No,
Or just DRA did?
just usually goes to DRA.
Okay.
So,
And I just want
and
to.
even the next item will go to DRA, but because of the situation we're in.
Yep.
we're on it tonight, so.
Just want to, do you know where it says in here the exact amount of the contract? That is, so this is the sketches. So we had had a discussion about when you do a software transition, there's this kind of difficult thing of transferring the house sketches over to the new system, and that is an additional cost, and it looks like KRT is going to do that work for us at an hourly rate with,
Yeah, actually, I
or
have
per sketch.
Avatar.
Oh, Avatar is gonna do
They're
it?
slightly less expensive, and they have the time to do it.
Oh,
He
okay.
was talking about
So we're
splitting
not
it,
gonna do
so,
this part of the contract?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I just want to make sure I understand. You're talking about the little outline of the building sketches?
Yes,
Yeah,
and that is
like-
the trickiest part of the conversion is they don't convert over from our current software to Avatar. So somebody needs to manually input sketches for all 2,000 properties in Brentwood.
The stuff that's currently in Patriot?
Yeah, when they switch it
Correct.
over to Avatar, it does not come. over, it
Some
doesn't
software
convert over.
transitions
Yeah.
better than others. Ours does not transition well. That is going to be the one significant wrinkle. So this says here, KRT will assist us as needed.
Yep.
What you're telling me is we are not
Yep.
going to need to use this part of the contract. Okay. Here we go. So compensation and terms. So the contract is for the original, this has here the original 155 that they had quoted us.
Where are you seeing that?
And
It's not in, it's not. that
it's a,
document.
I just have the copy in front of me.
Oh,
It's a different document. I also got confused.
And then this is just a retainage. I actually don't see that there's an upcharge in here for the conversion. Maybe this was what they were talking about, the sketch conversion? Because this 155 is what they originally quoted us, and I'm seeing it again in here, 155.
Yep.
Data collect, this is all just about retainage here. And to the total cost, do you know? Just want to make sure we know what we're approving. Because it doesn't look to me. I wonder if it was that sketch part. Yeah, because I'm not
Yeah.
seeing anything, right? This is all just about retainage.
Right, I'm wondering if he updated it.
Because your understanding was they were gonna
Yeah,
upcharge
he
us
needs
for the
to- Yeah, like
transition?
with the additional, yep.
I'm not
the
seeing
additional
that on
8
here.
to 10,000 there, so, let me,
But this is the
That's
most
on
recent version that KRT provided?
yeah, that's, I'm wondering if he. Yeah, value payments. Yeah, it's,
Let me just add these numbers up and see if they add up. 47,500. Yeah, that all equals 155.
yeah, no, this should be the,
so that's good.
that's,
Yeah.
I mean, if they're not,
no.
maybe it was a miscommunication and what they were gonna upcharge us for was the
I'm wondering
sketches.
if it, yeah, well, yeah, maybe, yeah, probably from the conversion, because.
If this is what they are giving us as their final contract.
He did know, I told him that we were gonna go with Avatar. so
Okay.
Maybe he just.
So maybe that's what it is
He needs to
instead,
remove
because
that out of
Avatar
it. Yep.
can do the sketches for
A
cheaper.
little less money. yeah,
Okay,
so.
okay,
Okay,
all right.
so he-
So, yeah, because this is, I just want to see when this is dated. Okay, but your understanding is this is the most current version.
Yeah, but he should remove the sketches,
Okay.
though, so.
All the board members have had an opportunity to see this. This was in the big packet that we got from KRT. Does anybody have questions or comments about this before signing? If not, I'll take a motion to have us all sign it.
Moved.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. What's the date? Fourth. Maybe you can just clarify
Yeah,
that,
I'll,
but I'm definitely seeing it being quoted at the same number that we had been initially quoted, the 155.
I mean, if the extra is gonna be for those sketches, that's great.
Yeah, Avatar had said that they sometimes are able to help with the sketches. They weren't sure, but
and they
Andrea
have
had
time,
spoken with
yeah, she
them.
said they have the
and
time
they're gonna be able to
stuff
help
right
us
now,
do that,
so
which is
that's
great.
good, yep.
All right, well, that is going around. The next thing that we have on our discussion action item is about a new consultant agreement for assessing. So I do want to take a minute and just extend a public thanks to our assessor, Jim Michaud. We have had him on a year-to-year contract for many years. He recently let us know that due to multiple factors in his life, that he would like to pull out of that contract. And Andrea has helped us find an alternative. And so I don't know if you want to kind of explain to the board what the current document in front of us is here.
This is, it's an agreement. He broke it out into, we can do 3-month increments. So this one is, and it has the dates in the back here.
This is
one
Whitney
like,
Consulting
yeah,
Group
Whitney
out of
Consulting Group,
Salem.
Yep. And there is, so we do the first month and then we just continue from there, but he'd come in and do our abatements and do our pickups and do, you know, the credits, and he can help us organize. He'll have a guy in here, we can either have him, he said twice a month. He said, but if we need them more, they can come in more. So,
And was your thought for the 3-month just kind of because everything's up in the air with our reval
Yeah.
and with everything to just kind of see how it works out for the first 3 months?
yeah, I mean, he'd like to, he wants to, you know, come up with a contract eventually, but this is kind of, I'll get a better idea of what, you know, doesn't want anyone to rush into anything, but he's willing to help us out right now because we don't have an assessor and we need stuff done by April 1st.
Right.
So yeah,
So this would be sort of a temporary coverage contract that's dated March 10th through June 9th.
yes, you found that.
And then optional contract
yeah,
coverage
that's what it is, right.
extends out June 10th to September, and it goes out in 3-month increments.
Yep.
And I believe this is somebody that you know personally and have
Yeah.
worked with?
I've worked with him, yes, yep.
What happened to KRT?
So when Jim notified us that he was going to be stepping back, he indicated that perhaps KRT could cover our day-to-day assessing. Andrea and I discussed that and felt that it was probably better for us to have like our own assessing person who could be here in person and do more of what Jim did rather than going the KRT route. I think that is still, there's other options that we could do. But we thought that having a temporary separate person would probably be better.
They're very hands-on. They come in, like I said, they're present, you know. He said twice a month, we could have them on more, so.
Gotcha. And it wasn't clear what KRT would be
No,
offering.
Jim
They're out of
Jim
Haverhill,
just
I
said
think.
they'd handle the assessing, so I'm guessing it would be this kind of the same setup
Would-
like Jim. He'd probably work remotely, so.
Would he, or would this person be able to deal with that stack that we've been ignoring?
Yes, yes, they're excellent.
The exemptions.
Yeah, exemptions, and you do have pickups that are coming from the building department, so.
Yep. And you said Mr. Hamilton is the president, but he has a staff,
Oh, he has staff,
That
yeah,
works
I
with
think
him?
there is he's up to 13 now.
and that there was at least one person who
That
was
knows
proficient in
yeah,
Patriot.
Yeah, yeah.
And
so-
they definitely reaffirmed that we should get off of Patriot,
Yeah.
is what you told me.
We're working on it.
Yeah, they're not taking towns that work with Patriot, so.
Work in progress. Yep. And from a budgetary perspective,
So
how
he
does this
said-
contract compare to what we already had budgeted for our
I
prior
think
contract?
For Jim, it was 28,000 a year. So he has, you know, and it's 2.6.1. And it's municipality, in consideration of the services, hereunder to be performed by the contractor agrees to pay contractor sum of 900 per service day, up to 11,700. So I think he says that's 13, I believe that's 13 days. Is where I saw that.
So that would be $11,000
Up
for
to,
the
yeah.
3-month period?
Yeah.
So significantly more than we were, but for getting in-person service.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
we had always
They
had
meet
just a
with the
remote
residents.
assessor.
Yep, and we can, you know, they'll meet with the residents.
Okay, so maybe we use this 3-month period to see if this is gonna work for us, if it's gonna meet our needs.
Yep.
If so, we'll need to find room in the budget or maybe use our extra line that we have in the government budget to decide how to fund this, because it does look like it'll be
So I'm
more
confused.
expensive.
When I thought KRT was willing to pick up Jim's contract of the exact same service that he was gonna provide for the exact same price.
That I don't know.
He just
He-
said, he said that they take over the assessing, which I didn't get any contract, I didn't get anything
'Cause-
from KRT.
He told me KRT was just trying to cross out Michaud Consulting and put in
Oh, put them
KRT
in
and
place.
have
Completely absorb his contract?
DRA approve it that way
For
for the
the,
first year.
for the reevaluation or just,
No,
For regular
for
assessment?
regular
Just for
assessment.
regular assessing.
And
So
what is
maybe
it-
we need to have a conversation with them about that, because that was not really explained to us.
and what is it that they're charging?
Jim charges like $22.50
That was
a month.
28. Oh, is that what it is?
Yes, I
This
think
would-
it comes out to,
28,000.
This would be almost 10,000 more.
yeah, this definitely is a higher rate.
'Cause it's
I think he was
11,700 times
2250.
every 3 months,
Every
so
three.
it's
Yeah, that makes sense,
47,
27,000.
Yeah.
44, 45 versus, what'd you say,
20
2,200?
27,000 is what his contract
27,000
is.
a year.
It sounds like with a higher, like interaction with the public though. Like if
yeah.
these people are submitting these things, you can come in and we meet with them in person and.
And it's up to 11,700. You might not need him as much, you might not need them as much as we, two days a month might be sufficient.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which would be,
And this terminates.
that would actually be less than Jim's contract if it's 900 per day.
This can be terminated on 30-day notice, so it's not like we're locked in.
Right.
So I'm saying
Right.
at 6.1 termination.
Yeah. So Andy, do you want to pause this for this week, go back to KRT and see what they are offering? Because I don't think it was really, I don't think that was explained to us. It was just kind of like, oh,
They're
KRT
gonna
might be
take
able to
over
pick it up.
assessing, yeah.
Would you feel more comfortable just finding out what that other option is?
Well, I think I know we're in a rock and hard place, but if they're willing to do it for the same cost, for the same year, for the same service,
Yeah, just to bridge us over. Had you
But-
had any conversations with KRT directly about that?
Not about the taking
Yeah, I
over
think
the
it
assessing
never got to Andrea at that stage, unfortunately, in terms of
Jim
what
just said
KRT
it,
might
but,
offer.
I thought it was like the board would really want to, make that decision if you wanted KIT to continue or if you want to go another route.
Sure. It might be worth clarifying, though, if that's what the intention was for KRT just to take over his contract. So maybe we just
I
pause
just
this.
don't want any bad blood when they're coming in to do the reval if they think we're picking them up.
Well, that's what's unclear to me is what conversations occurred between Jim and KRT.
KRT.
Right.
I'm not privy to that, which I think is why we have a little confusion right now. So maybe it's best to pause this, get clarity on that.
So what's the deadline for submitting the form to the DRA?
He would, I'd get in touch with Steve tomorrow if
Okay.
that was the case. We do have cards that need to get printed, and Jillian and I are still trying to, Patriot is convoluted, confusing.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah,
it's
we
not
need help right away.
user-friendly, And they need the card, like,
Yeah.
Avatar and KRT need these cards.
Yep.
To start their work.
Yep.
So,
Okay, so we need someone helping with this, like ASAP.
yep.
Okay. So Andy, does that sound reasonable that we have that direct communication with KRT about what they're actually going to offer? And then consider that compared to this?
Yes.
Okay.
But if we need something done by April, I would say we do the 3-month contract and because this still is gonna have to be reviewed by DRA, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Contract? I thought it
Yes.
was, didn't you think?
No, he brought it so you could see it.
The KRT
and
one
then-
was.
Oh, yeah, the
So-
KRT ones, the reval one, but Steve did say this would also go to the DRA.
So I think
All assessing contracts.
we should
typically go to the
have
DRA.
both going on simultaneously. Do the 3 months to get us caught up and out of the woods.
To get us immediate help, because this person's willing to help us like starting immediately.
Yep.
Right, so maybe use this as a 3-month Band-Aid and then figure out what we're gonna do next.
Yes.
Okay,
Or just give us more time to figure out which direction we want to go in. Really.
correct.
And at least have the conversation with KRT.
Okay, perfect. And we're gonna be having a lot of conversations with KRT over the next couple of months, so we will have a lot of opportunity to do that. All right, that sounds reasonable to me.
So I'll move for 3 months
Okay,
Second.
further discussion?
pending DRA approval.
Sounds good.
This, the way this is written, yeah, pending DRA approval, but it says initial, what does this mean, initial contract and then optional? So is there,
I think that's if we
Yeah,
wanted to
the 3
extend
month,
it
and then if
beyond
you wanted
3
to
months.
go another 3 months and another 3 months.
and is there a notice? Like, is that the 30-day notice then? You have to tell them 30 days before the optional kicks in? That's
Yeah, you mean before if we do 3 months, I'd have to let him know.
30
you're
days
talking about that,
before.
Yeah,
Is that-
yep. And he and I would have that conversation.
That wasn't clear to me when reading it.
Yeah, the termination is clarified as 30 days.
It looks like if you don't terminate it, auto renew.
Where are you seeing that?
Just the way it's written at the top, the optional.
Okay. So as long as we're on top of the 30 days.
Yeah, so we just need to have a little more clarity on what we want and need moving forward by June or by May. Okay. Okay. So we have a motion. Did we have a second? Yes, a motion and a second to sign this 3-month contract with Stephen Hamilton's Whitney Consulting Group Company. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Aye. And I'm an aye. And thank you, Andrea, for finding us someone who could jump in right away. And then if you can have some of those conversations starting with KRT as well, that would be great. Okay, perfect. And once again, thank you to Jim Michaud, who has given us many years of good work, but sounds like is a very busy man and needed to make some changes in his career. And we are very thankful for everything he's done for Brentwood. Next is investment policy. Andrea, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, it's just, the auditors like you to review your investment policy every year. So this is one of our checklist items for the audit that's gonna be happening in June.
And this has
There'll
not
be other policies
changed,
coming
right?
forward. Nope. No, looks like it was 2022 was the last time it was updated, so.
Did Ambrose feel, I know he's
Yeah,
the
he
one that
thought
brought
it
this
looked-
forward. Did he feel any
I
changes were
talked to
needed?
him today, no, he said it looked good, so.
Move, we accept the investment policy.
Second?
Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so if we can all sign here. All right, we'll wait for that to go around, and then next we're going to discuss the ALS intercept contracts, of which there are 2. So we have in front of us 2 different contracts. One is for us to take part in the intermunicipal intercept services that are being run out of the Plastow Fire Department that will replace Exeter ALS. Comes to an end in like 2 to 3 weeks from now. The other is an agreement to occupy dwelling. And as we've discussed in public a few times, the thought is that because Brentwood is centrally located and on 125, and it's sort of in the center of this 13-town area that's covered by ALS, that we have agreed to house for 1 year the 2 paramedics who are going to be staffing this service. And there have been multiple conversations with our current fire employees about this, and some questions came up that were answered to their satisfaction. And so we have in front of us these 2 different contracts, one to take part in the service and one to have the 1-year occupancy agreement, which does come with, I think, a small amount of pay, if I'm correct. $1,000 per month.
They're gonna pay it in one
A
lump
single
sum.
payment of $12,000 will be
Yeah.
issued at the beginning of the contract.
Yep.
Yep. And Paul, I know you had, I think, looked over
Yeah.
these or been involved along the way a little bit. Do you have any comments for the board?
Did look at the intermunicipal agreement, which looked reasonable, and then on the occupancy agreement, there is one change, so it will need to be edited. And there was that provision for termination,
Mhm.
which I had wanted to add that if one of the reasons for termination was a violation of the use of premises as set forth in the terms, so they were doing something that breached our quiet enjoyment or did something that was, violative of our premises, then we would have, I was suggesting a 60-day provision. Chief Bird, I spoke with Plastow Chief and was asking if we could make that 90 days. I think that's okay as a compromise.
So what right now is listed as 183 days would be amended down to 90?
Well, the way I understood it was that the 183 days would be just a general right to terminate.
Oh, okay.
And then we would add as follows, in the event the tenant, that being Plastow, violates the terms of use as set forth in the agreement, such violation is not cured within 15 days after receipt of notice by the town of Brentwood, then the right to terminate for breach of the terms of use may be within 90 days written notice to the town of Plastow.
Gotcha.
So that would be the
Okay.
addition that I think Andrea needs to add to
Okay.
that.
And did Chief Knutson agree to that? Of the Plastow?
Apparently, yeah, because I
Yes.
got an email communication.
And that was in your track changes, right? With
It
all
was.
that wording, okay, that you just read. okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I did not write
And the
that.
terms of use are spelled out pretty clearly
Yes.
in this contract.
Just want to make sure if something went wrong, that we
Sure.
didn't have to have a 6-month
Yeah.
notice.
I think that's perfectly reasonable and sounds like they were willing to agree to that.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
I would move we allow Andrea to sign this as amended.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
I have a quick question, and I guess, so it sounds like this was all negotiated between the two chiefs.
I would assume so, or between the committee that's doing, there's like that group that is doing the multi-chiefs group.
There's something about the tenant is responsible for installation, maintenance, associated utility fees for things that they want to use. I hope that would be done in conjunction with the fire department, since it is our building still.
Which number are you on?
7.
Installation, maintenance, and associated utility fees for all radio, telephone, and internet communication equipment used by the tenant. Yeah, do you have any,
I believe that
Info?
Plasto said that they would, yes, they would, that wasn't a problem. They were.
so if they bring radios,
Yeah.
communication
us.
equipment,
But-
they're,
Do they have to do it nicely? I guess if they're cutting holes and stuff, wiring things.
Yeah, I would imagine Joe probably oversees that, make sure it's done nicely.
I mean, hearing Chief Knutson talk, I don't think he would allow,
yeah, he seems like he's a straight shooter. And Joe Bird has looked at this contract, right,
Oh,
and
yeah.
approved it,
Oh, yeah.
and so.
I think the
yes.
main part of this is they're gonna need some upgrades to the building in order to perform the services, and they're not expecting us to pay for it.
No, but I would like to know what they are, so that maybe if we wanted to update our own stuff at the same time.
So they're gonna be operating off a different radio frequency, so they're gonna need,
Oh, so it's totally separate. That makes sense, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. If both of the chiefs are happy with this and Paul's amendment, so, did you make a motion?
I did,
Okay, as for Andrea to sign after amendment?
correct.
Okay, anyone like to second that?
Yes.
Okay. Letty, any further questions or comments?
The only question I have is, where are they sleeping?
Where's what?
Where are they sleeping?
They figured that out. They're gonna rearrange rooms and, girls.
They did a walkthrough,
Yeah, they
right?
did, they did a walkthrough. They've got
Okay.
that worked out, yeah.
It just wasn't in here, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
If
Okay,
they're,
cool.
if they're happy, I'm happy. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I-
And I'm an aye, so we'll have Andrea sign that once it's amended. The second is the intermunicipal agreement, and Paul, I know this had gone through multiple sort of iterations. No known concerns that you had seen on that, right?
No, none.
Okay. And this is a 1-year contract, correct?
Correct.
Yep. With essentially
13 months,
I think it's
13 months.
Yeah.
And there is no cost involved, correct, because of this being funded by the $2 million grant from Beth Israel?
False.
False?
False.
False? Where's the costs associated?
Section F,
Okay.
they're gonna bill per call.
Right.
Which Brentwood Ambulance would in turn bill the patient, so it would be a wash.
Okay. So there's no net cost to us?
Correct.
Okay. That's was my understanding.
Unless somebody doesn't pay and then,
Right.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that was my understanding. All right, that being said, is anyone interested in making a motion for us to sign this or to authorize Andrea to sign on our behalf?
Motion to accept and allow Andrea to sign.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions?
Is there a timeline on this term? Hold on.
It's 13 months, I believe.
So we could be in a situation where we are not renewing this, but we still have them in our fire station?
No, because the fire station contracts are 13 months.
They match, I believe. They both start effective the March 21st.
March 1st. This agreement shall start March 1st at 12 a.m. and terminate March 31st, 2026 at 11:59,
Okay,
which is the same term period as the,
there's a second year term of payment that I was confused by in the other one. Can we strike that entire year 2 payment
Where's the year two?
in the first
thought-
one?
in the
but-
transport, in the housing.
In the first one,
Oh. Where's that listed?
terms of
Oh,
payment,
year two.
I think, yeah, no, so the occupancy agreement looks like it starts March 21st. There's a little bit of a delay. And then I think the idea was that it would be at the same reimbursement of 12,000 if there was a second year. It's presuming that there was a second year.
So this just stipulates what would happen in year two, but I don't
Correct.
think it obligates us to year two, right?
Correct.
Because the agreement says this agreement terminates on March 31st, 2026.
Yep.
So yes, I guess I'm wondering why that needs to be in there.
I don't think it should be in there because it's possible after we do the first year, we might want something different.
Do you have a sense, Paul, of why that paragraph was in there?
Talking about the second paragraph under terms?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, for the reason that I thought they wanted to keep the
Rent is-
reimbursement at that base.
oh, just to put it in writing now, that if we extended another year, it would be under the same.
Yeah, I mean, it could be
rental
worded a little
agreements.
better, but that was my understanding of the intent,
Okay.
is that they wanted that second year, if it was to go into a second year, to be
Yeah.
at that level.
If that's the case, I don't actually have a problem with that because this says clearly that this contract terminates on March 31st, 2026. So that paragraph doesn't really
And then
obligate
if it
us
went
to
past the
anything.
second year, we'd have a chance to renegotiate.
We'd have another contract anyway, so I don't
Yeah,
think that
that's fine
really.
then.
Okay,
That's why I was confused because
Okay.
the second year.
okay, so that one's okay. I
That was
think,
it.
did you have
We don't
other,
have a second.
we had a motion, did we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for Andrea to sign the intermunicipal agreement for intercept services. And all in favor?
Aye.
Right.
And I'm an aye. And I'm very, very, very thankful to Chief Knudsen from Plastow and that Seacoast Chiefs Association, is that what they call themselves? Who have basically put up this entire program in just a few months. And this is a literal life-saving service for our communities. And I am very, very happy that they were able to pull this off and look forward to seeing the creative ideas of how we're going to fund this after the first year. Because for the first year, we have a grant. After that, less clear. All right. We had another agenda item here that I think we're going to hold on. That's a feasibility study letter that's related to a potential grant, but I think is maybe not quite ready for prime time, so we're going to bump that out. And then in terms of regular business, the one thing that we need to talk about as a board for regular business before we move forward is the warrant article presentation at town meeting. We generally assign the different warrants to different board members. I don't know if you guys want to do that now, or if you'd just like to discuss that on the fly at town meeting. We don't have John here tonight, but.
That sounds like John wants to do all.
We
Yeah.
could, see, he's not here. We could sign him up for.
John, if you
some
don't
of
want to
the-
do it, speak up.
John, speak up if you don't want to do it. Would you guys like to go through them and do that assigning? Do you have a copy of the warrant in front of you?
Oh, I have one.
You got it in front of you?
Nope, I lied. That's the school one. Sorry.
Sorry, I
So-
should have brought a copy.
Historically, Andrea, we usually get a sheet kind of the background, any, like if the capital reserve funds or revolving accounts, the balances that are in them, and just any back information that somebody would need on the fly while we're sitting at the table talking.
At the school meeting last night, there was a really interesting slide where they said the names of the different funds, how much was in them, what the goal was, and whether or not they were asking for money this year. And I
We did
think,
that last year as well.
I think that that could be good, because I think there's a lot that are just not on the list this year because we've hit our goal.
Yes, and I have the PowerPoint from last year that I can work with you to update. I think we had talked about it.
Does BudCom plan on doing?
He sent the slides from the budget hearing, but I think doesn't plan to necessarily do any slide presentation
I think he just.
unless
yeah, he
needed.
forwarded
Yeah.
them to us in case we wanted to use them.
Does anyone have a copy of the warrant in
Yeah.
front of them? I have it on my computer, and I thought I had it here. You have it?
And while we're on the topic of town meeting, can we just
Oh, it's right in front of me.
confirm that the school is gonna record and upload the meeting for us?
Who usually, Daphne?
How do we kind of reserve it? Did they have the equipment to do?
Yes.
Recording? Okay. All right, I'll just.
'Cause it
I'll
gets-
Can you check with
request, yeah.
Daphne and or the school about,
It gets uploaded to the Blue Hawk Facebook
oh,
page.
I've got it. Okay.
Okay.
I've got it.
I
Like,
mean,
But
YouTube
you can
page.
you can have it in your hot little hands. All right, so the first Article 1 is general municipal operations, so that's our operating budget. I am happy to do that as chair unless someone else wants to take that on.
We should-
We could give it to John, but that might be mean. Okay, so I can do that one. The Article 2 is the multiple CRFs.
We could give it to Doug.
I can do
He can
that.
wear his John Morgan.
Okay, so Andy will do the CRF multiples, and we will have that PowerPoint slide for you, Andy, that indicates the funds. The next Article 3 is the CRF for the multipurpose municipal building. Letty, that
I'll
might
do
be a
that
good
one.
one for you, because you're on that committee.
Mhm.
Front end loader, John or Paul interested in maybe doing that one?
That's an easy one, because Wayne's gonna talk to.
That's true.
Good, then I'll.
Okay, Paul. Paul will turn it over to Wayne. And we did clarify with DRA that if we are so inclined, that the language of that front-end loader warrant can be modified to have the money come out of unspent fund balance, if we preferred to do that instead of raise and appropriate for taxes, that you can make that change at town meeting, because it does not change the intention, the overall intention of the warrant article. That is correct, Letty, right? I'm
Mhm.
saying that correct from our
It wasn't
NHMA.
DRA, it was NHMA.
NHMA,
Yes.
that gave
Yep.
us that
Is
advice.
that the intent for us to do?
There's a complicated answer to that question, which depends whether or not.
Just knowing what our choices are.
Yes,
Feels good.
there's different choices that might be advantageous depending on whether or not the tax cap warrant were to pass. So we can have that discussion. Article
We
5,
might as well just roll along with Paul, because it's another
highway
one for Wayne.
vehicles.
Highway
Okay, Paul, you're getting both highway. You and Wayne are gonna be a team.
Go team.
Okay, he got voluntold. Okay, how about we give John the next ones, closing the solar CRF?
I was gonna give
and-
John,
Or John the rec one?
yes.
That would make sense, because he's the
I
rep.
can do the CRFs then.
Okay. And Andrea, can you clarify, I believe after the warrant got posted, DRA said we were good, but then town council had a problem with one of our CRF warrants, right?
Right.
The solar one. Can you speak to that? So that was the one where we were going to discontinue the solar capital reserve
Yeah, it has to go back
and
to
move the money into the new account.
Yeah, it has to go to the unreserved fund balance.
Okay.
And then you can, if you want, if it's a lot of money, you can move it back to that fund.
And we can't do that. We can't amend the warrant to do that. We would have to just.
Can we
You
change
may
the
be able
wording?
to amend it there. If
To
we can
say-
amend for the other one.
To say
other ones,
return
you
it to the general fund
Yeah,
and
make the update.
And then
and
say
then transfer it?
The amount,
To,
like, this amount, which happens to be the same amount that
Right.
is coming into the general fund, will then come from unreserved fund balance to go into the solar revolving.
And I think it was Laura that reviewed this, right?
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
often there at town meetings, so she can
Yeah.
guide us real
Yes.
time if we
Yep.
need to tweak the language a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so Letty, you'll do the
Yeah, I'll do both.
solar
I'll do
and
both.
amphitheater?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then the master plan, that one could be done by really, I'm happy to do that one. And then Article 10 and 11 are citizens petitions, so we do not need to assign one of us to them. Yeah.
John.
Yep,
Who's
8 is
seven?
John,
Seven.
6 and 7 are Letty.
7 already, okay.
Yep.
And I'm sorry.
And my assumption is that we will likely have a motion to move the tax cap warrant to near the beginning of the meeting, which would be good.
I'm gonna make
for-
that motion if nobody else does.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be, because that one does have to be left open for an hour, and so just strategically makes sense for that to be near the start of the meeting. Okay, thank you. So that was the regular business that I had. Andrea, do you have any regular business for us?
I do not.
Okay, we will then move on to board members for either business or committee updates, and we'll start with Andy.
I have nothing in public, but we'll have a non-public for legal.
Yes, right, okay. Paul?
Nope, I don't have anything.
Okay,
The only thing I have is the annual reports out.
they were being handed out at the school meeting yesterday.
There are a couple documents that we weren't able to get in time to put in here. So one of them is unfortunately the warrant.
Yep.
Which is now being tucked into all the books that are being handed out. If you haven't got one yet, make sure you get one before town meeting. In addition, there's a couple other mistakes that we found after the fact. So there's a couple pages that are just being printed that'll be available in a stack here and at town meeting that you can just tuck in to correct those mistakes.
Is there any way we can add that to the online version?
The online version is going to be 100% correct.
Okay, great.
Because
And
I was just
mistake-
trying, while we were doing the warrants, I'm trying to figure out why I can't find the warrants.
Warrants
Because
because
it's not in there.
they,
Yeah.
because they're not in there.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
It will be
They will be.
uploaded.
Yep. No, we're good. So the one that is on the website and then the one that gets sent to the state is going to be like the fully corrected version, not the one with typos.
Okay. And once again, thank you to the volunteers who put that together this
And
year.
if anyone has any suggestions, or if they find mistakes, just let us know so that we can make sure not to repeat them next year.
Great. Okay,
That's it.
anything else that you have?
I have something for non-public personnel, I guess, hiring personnel,
Hiring?
people. I think it's technically personnel.
Okay.
Can you come back to me after you're done?
Question?
Yeah, just go grab a
Yeah.
stack.
Yeah, sure. In terms of updates for me, the BudCom has scheduled a meeting for after the election, which will be to organize and plan their schedule for the next year, which is going to take place on Monday, April 7th. And so that will be after the new BudCom is in place, so just have that on your calendars. I did want to say thank you to all the townspeople who came out to Swayze Central School last night for the school meeting. We did get through in about an hour and 15 minutes, which was great, and all warrants did pass as written. And so we are done with our first meeting. The next one is our election a week from today at Swayze School, 7 to 7, and then town meeting starting at 9 a.m. on Saturday, the 15th. So please be there if you can. And Andy, I'll go back to you.
Since this is our last meeting technically of the seated board,
Correct.
and most of the town doesn't know what transpired this year, I just think a huge amount of appreciation needs to go to Jen and Letty for the amount of extra work they put in above and beyond that kept this town from not imploding. And imploding is an understatement, but yeah, it's, most people don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and you two put a lot of work in. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's nice of you to say.
I,
As well as you, Andy, all for communicating with the residents. I don't normally speak out like this, but you're an amazing group.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, major props and respect.
Thank you.
And John said he feels
He was texting you.
I got the same text.
Well, he was on an airplane, so he couldn't be here. So he was getting back to Logan, not in time.
He has Wi-Fi on the airplane. He could.
Yeah, true. I told him he just don't try to do the meeting from the car. I didn't think that was safe. Thank you. That was very nice of you to say. Oh, that didn't make it on the agenda. Yes. Chief Doty, please. Yes, we had intended for you to be on the agenda. So at our last meeting, when we had our wonderful swearing in of our new chief, I did ask the chief to come back and let us know, because we had held both the lieutenant and the chief position in the budget. I know it's only been a week, but if you had a chance to kind of think about if there's any changes or restructuring you want to make to the department that would impact the budget that we're going to vote on
Yeah.
in a week and a half.
So just full transparency. Obviously, when I first presented the budget, it was, the budget that I first had was like a 20% increase
Right.
overall. Working with you and Letty especially, got it down to like 11 and a half. As it stands right now, the one thing I will never jeopardize is obviously officer safety issues and stuff just for the officers downstairs. We have, from me, we have 9 full-time spots that are currently filled. Knock on wood, we're full staffed at that point. I consider us full staff. We have 3 part-timers who, also pitch in when they can. So I don't necessarily see a need for an increase in staff anytime soon. I'm happy with that number. I don't mind covering the occasional day shifts as I did last week. I actually find it fun still.
Keeps you,
Yeah, keeps,
up on
keeps
your
my
craft.
fingers in it, So I think staffing wise, we're doing really well. I don't see a need for that 10th officer right now. For future increases in staffing, it's going to hopefully be grant based. At which point in time we'll be able to figure out and work with the COPS grant, unless this town does some serious expanding in the next couple of years, and we can offset costs that way. So looking at the overall numbers, I initially cut out a cruiser, which I've been a huge kind of boisterous about. We need a cruiser because our fleet was very much depleted
Right.
and very aged. So I initially cut that out, working with, again, just you and Letty to try to get costs down, which was reasonable. And then looking at our numbers now, I don't see a need to backfill the lieutenant spot at this time. So everything at this point in time realistically should be in-house. We'll get the 2 corporals trained up, get them promoted eventually, and then continue on that train. Those 2 guys have definitely pulled through for me. So doing away with that, looking at my overall increases now, again, sitting at like 11.5% increase, again, playing with numbers today, I actually put a cruiser back in and did away with that lieutenant spot, and now I'm only looking at like, I think it was like less than 7.5% increase overall.
Okay.
So I don't have the exact numbers for you yet, but that's something that I do plan on amending my budget for.
Okay.
So it gives us, again, the tools and the resources that we need while not compromising officer safety, while keeping staffing adequate.
So what we can expect from you before town meeting is a number that we can remove from the budget, which basically balances out removing the lieutenant salary and benefits, but adding back in the car that you had essentially sacrificed at our request because we
Yes.
were trying to get you to shrink your budget as
Yes.
much as possible.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been a pretty reasonable request, but understanding that, trying to save as much as we can for the town.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we also take a health insurance out of our health insurance budget?
Oh, I don't need it.
We could.
I would have to see
How-
how I built that.
Yeah, we definitely put some wiggle room. We put 1 extra family plan in, I want to say. Do you remember when we were building that budget?
No,
It was,
That's why
it
everything's-
was a while ago.
that's why everything's written down.
We
It's your
actually might
spreadsheet.
be able to, yes, because we did keep all of those positions, and then we put our normal wiggle room of like, if people have babies, get married, we have a new hire.
But I don't
right?
know if we had the 2 lieutenant positions, so that's why I want to check and make sure.
Okay,
Well, there shouldn't be 2 lieutenants. There would have been the chief and a lieutenant. We should have budgeted for the amount of
she
personnel
might
we
mean
had.
fire.
I mean,
Oh.
oh yeah, and
Yeah, she
fire.
means fire.
But Those which are still budgeted positions because they're not extra.
That is not necessarily how I did it, though.
So we're gonna double check on that.
I'm gonna check.
We will double check on that because we were doing our best. All right, so I think the benefit of this is that when we present the operating budget, we can explain to the public that because we have now promoted a chief, that we are able to amend that budget down. It's not going to be a huge amount, but I would expect it's like ballpark $50,000, $70,000, something like that.
Something around
Every
there, maybe
little,
between
every little
salary
bit helps,
and, retirement.
right? When we're trying to limit budget increases.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Happy to help.
Okay, great. Sorry you got left off the agenda. You should have said something earlier. I would have called you up.
Week 2 and you've already been forgotten
Oh,
about.
sorry, chief. Welcome. Welcome to the board dysfunction, right? All right. All right. Anything else? Okay, I heard that we had non-public for legal and personnel. I'll take a motion for that.
Motion.
Is there a second? Roll call vote. Andy?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Letty?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so we'll go into non-public at 7:07 for legal and personnel. Thank you to the public for being here. We'll see you at the election. And actually, can we amend that to hiring as well? Legal personnel and